Every 11 seconds, an older adult in this country is taken into an emergency room after a fall. By the time this video is over, about 80 more will be sitting in one. And here is the part that ought to bother you. For a great many of them, the fall did not happen because they were frail or careless or old. It happened in the first 10 minutes after they got out of bed, in the stiffest, weakest, least steady window of their entire day, a window almost nobody prepares for. I am Dr. Patterson, 15 years of practice, and I have watched this same story play out more times than I can count. Someone independent, sharp, still driving, still doing their own shopping, one bad morning, one hip, and the life they had built for themselves is over in an afternoon. Not because they were finished, because nobody ever told them that the body you wake up in at 7 in the morning is not the body you had at 7 the night before. Today I am giving you 5 exercises to do every morning, and you do every single one of them sitting down in a chair. You do not need the floor. You do not need to get down and struggle back up. You do not need equipment, a gym, a trainer, or a dollar. They take about 10 minutes, and you can do them in your bathrobe before the coffee has finished brewing. We count down from 5 to 1, and number 1 is the single most important movement in this entire video, the one I would keep if you made me throw the other 4 away. But watch for number 3 especially. It is the one almost everybody gets exactly backwards, every single day, without ever knowing they are doing it, and it is quietly robbing them of the strength they need most. Before we start, do me a quick favor. Tell me in the comments how old you are and whether you feel stiff or unsteady in the mornings. I read everyone, and the answers genuinely shape what I make next for you. And one more thing while we are here, because it matters to me that you hear it. Everything I am about to show you is one piece of a bigger picture, the small daily habits that quietly decide whether you are still walking strong at 80 or reaching for a cane at 70. I took everything I tell my own patients about staying mobile and independent in these years and put it into one simple plan. It has already helped thousands of people over 60. If you want it, the link is sitting right there on your screen whenever you are ready for it. You do not need to write anything down, and I will never make you sit through me reading a web address out loud. Now let me show you what is actually happening in your body in that first hour, because once you understand it, every one of these 5 will make sense. Why the morning is the dangerous part. 3 things happen overnight, and they stack on top of each other. The first is your blood pressure. When you have been lying flat for 7 or 8 hours and you stand up, gravity pulls a rush of blood down into your legs, and your body has to react in about 1 second to keep the pressure up to your brain. In a younger body, that reflex is instant. After 60, it gets slower and sloppier. When it fails, the pressure drops, the room swims, and you grab for the dresser. Doctors call that orthostatic hypotension, and it is common. Roughly 1 in 5 adults over 65 has it to some degree, and a great many of them have no idea, because they have simply learned to steady themselves for a second and get on with the day. That dizzy moment is not a quirk. It is a fall waiting for the wrong morning. The second is your spine. This one genuinely surprises people. While you sleep, with the weight off your back, the discs between your vertebrae draw in fluid and swell up like sponges. That is why you are measurably taller when you wake than when you go to bed, usually somewhere around ½ an inch. But a swollen disc is a stiff disc, and a stiff disc under pressure is more vulnerable. Researchers who studied this found the bending stresses on your spine are substantially higher in the early morning than later in the day. So the first thing you do, bending over to pull on your socks, twisting to make the bed, hauling the laundry basket, you are doing at the exact hour your back is least prepared for it. The third is your muscles. After 30, we lose muscle mass steadily, somewhere in the range of 3 to 8% every decade, and it accelerates after 60. Doctors call it sarcopenia, and it does not take the muscle evenly. It goes after the big movers first, your thighs, and it takes the fast fibers first, the ones you use not for walking but for catching yourself. So the muscle that fails you first is the exact muscle that stands you up out of a chair and saves you when you trip. Now put those 3 together at 7 in the morning. Low pressure, stiff spine, cold muscles, and you go straight from horizontal to standing to walking to the bathroom in about 4 seconds flat. That is the window. Everything that follows is about closing it. And here is the hopeful part. And it is the reason I am making this. This is not a decline you have to accept. There is a famous piece of research from decades back that still stops me every time I think about it. Investigators put frail nursing home residents, people in their 90s, some of them using walkers, through a strength training program. Not a stretch class, real resistance. And their strength did not creep up. It more than doubled. In their 90s. Muscle answers when you call it. At any age. Almost nobody ever calls it. Let us start the countdown at number 5. Number 5. Ankle pumps and circles. We start with the one that looks far too simple to be worth your time, and that is exactly why people wave it off. Ankle pumps and ankle circles. And I want you to do this one before you even stand up. Sitting on the edge of your bed is perfect. Here is why it earns the first slot. Remember the blood pressure drop we just talked about. Your calf muscles are not just for walking. Every time your calf tightens, it squeezes the deep veins in your lower leg and pushes blood upward, back toward your chest. Doctors call it the calf muscle pump, and some of us call it your second heart. After a whole night lying flat and completely still, that pump has been switched off for 8 hours. Pumping your ankles for 30 seconds before you stand primes it. You are pushing blood back up toward your brain before you ask your brain to keep you upright. To do it, sit with your feet flat. Lift your toes up toward your shins while you keep your heels planted, then reverse it. Press your toes down and lift your heels, like easing onto a gas pedal. Slow and deliberate. That is 1 repetition. Do 20 of them. Then circle each foot 10 one way, 10 the other. Then, and this is the part I really want you to take, do not spring up. Sit for a moment afterward. Stand up slowly. Give that reflex a couple of seconds to catch. If you have ever had that gray, swimmy moment on standing, this 30 seconds is written for you. It costs you nothing, and it protects the moment you are most exposed all day. Number 4. The seated spinal twist. Number 4 goes after the stiffness, and it goes after it in the right order, before you ask your back to do anything real. This is the fix for the swollen, stiff morning disc we talked about. A gentle, controlled rotation moves fluid, warms the tissue, and wakes up the small muscles that stabilize your spine before you bend over to tie a shoe. Rotation is also the movement we lose first and miss most, and you feel it in the ordinary places, backing the car out of the driveway and having to turn your whole body because your spine will not, reaching for the seatbelt, looking over your shoulder on the stairs. Here is how to do it. Sit up tall in a sturdy chair, both feet flat on the floor, and sit forward a little so your back is off the backrest. Cross your arms over your chest, hands on opposite shoulders. Now turn slowly to the right, head, shoulders, and ribs together as far as is comfortable. Not as far as you can force, as far as is comfortable. Pause there for 2 seconds. Breathe out. Then come back through the middle and turn to the left. That is 1 repetition. Do 8 to 10, alternating sides. 2 details almost everyone misses. Keep your hips and knees facing straight ahead the whole time so the movement comes from your spine and not from your legs swinging around. And never bounce or yank into it. In the morning, with those discs full of fluid, slow and gentle is not the timid version. It is the correct version. Number 3, the seated hip hinge. Here is the one I told you to watch for, and I mean it. This is the movement almost every person over 60 gets backwards, several times a day without ever noticing. Watch someone get out of a chair. Really watch. Almost everyone over a certain age does the same thing. They plant their hands on the armrests or on their knees and push themselves up with their arms. It feels like help. It feels like being sensible. It is quietly taking something from you every single time you do it, because every rep you hand to your arms is a rep your legs did not do. And the legs are exactly what sarcopenia is coming for. You are training yourself 1 chair at a time out of the strength that keeps you independent. The fix is a pattern, and it has a name that will make it stick, nose over toes. Here is how you practice it, sitting the whole time. Sit toward the front half of your chair, feet flat, pulled back slightly so they are under your knees rather than out in front. Now, keeping your back straight, not rounded, hinge forward from your hips and bring your nose out over your toes. Feel your weight shift onto the middle of your feet. Feel your heels get light? Stop right there. Hold 2 seconds, then sit back tall. That is 1 repetition. Do 10 of them, hands folded in your lap, not touching anything. That forward lean is the whole secret of standing up. It puts your weight over your feet so your legs can take you, instead of leaving you sat back with nothing to push from but your arms. Most people who cannot get out of a chair anymore do not have a strength problem yet. They have a leaning problem. They are trying to stand up while sitting back, which is physically impossible, so their arms take over and the legs get weaker and the cycle closes. Practice the lean sitting down 10 times a morning, hands off. Then carry it into every chair you get out of today. Nose over toes, hands off the armrests, let your legs do their job. If it is genuinely too hard right now, put your hands lightly on your thighs instead of pushing off the chair and take away the help as you get stronger. That is number 3, and it is the one I would tape to your refrigerator. Let me pause for 1 second, because this is the natural spot to ask. If any of this is landing for you, please tap the like button and subscribe. It honestly helps this reach more people over 60 who need it. And tell me in the comments which of these 5 you are starting with tomorrow morning. I read them all. Now back to the countdown. Number 2, the seated march. Number 2 looks like nothing, and it is doing more than you think. Sit tall, back off the chair, and lift one knee up toward the ceiling, then set it down, then the other, like marching in place, sitting down. That is it. Here is what it is actually working. The muscles that lift your knee are your hip flexors, and they are the muscles that pick your foot up off the ground when you walk. Not the ones that carry you forward, the ones that get your foot up. That is why this one matters more than it looks. When those muscles weaken, your foot stops clearing the ground properly. You do not notice, because the change is a fraction of an inch. But that shuffle is exactly how a person catches a toe on a carpet edge, a threshold, a curb, the lip of a doorway. A trip is not usually a mystery. It is a foot that came up an inch short. The seated march also lights up your deep core, the muscles that hold your trunk steady. Every time you lift a knee, your midsection has to brace so you do not rock backward. That bracing is the same thing your body has to do to keep you upright when you stumble. So here is how to do it properly. Sit tall, off the backrest, feet flat, hands resting lightly in your lap. Lift your right knee as high as is comfortable, pause for a beat at the top, and lower it under control. Do not let the foot drop and slap the floor. Then the left. That is 1 repetition. Do 15 to 20 on each side. The detail that makes it work is the pause at the top and the slow lowering. Rushing turns it into rocking, and rocking is your momentum doing the work instead of your muscles. As it gets easy, hold at the top for 3 full seconds. Number 1, the seated leg extension with a hold. And here is number 1, the most important movement in this video, and the one I would keep if you made me choose only one. Straighten one leg out in front of you, hold it there, and lower it slowly. That is the whole thing. And it is number 1 because of what it trains. The quadriceps, the big muscle across the front of your thigh. That muscle is your independence. It is what stands you up out of a chair, off the toilet, out of the car. It is what climbs the stairs. And it is what fires to catch you in the half second when your body starts to go down. It is also, as we said, the first thing sarcopenia takes, which is why quad strength turns out to be one of the better predictors we have of whether an older adult stays mobile, stays out of the hospital, and keeps their independence. Doctors even measure it directly. There is a standard test. You count how many times you can stand up out of a chair in 30 seconds without using your hands. And it is used in fall prevention programs precisely because that number tells us so much about the road ahead. This exercise, done from your chair, trains exactly what that test measures. Here is how to do it. Sit up tall with your back pressed firmly against the backrest and both feet flat. Slowly straighten one leg out in front of you, knee as straight as is comfortable. Now hold it there for a count of 3. Squeeze the top of your thigh hard while you hold. Then lower it back down slowly. Take 3 seconds coming down, and do not let the foot flop to the floor. That is 1 repetition. Do 10 to 12 on one leg, then switch. The detail nearly everyone misses is the back. Keep it pressed against the chair so you cannot cheat by rocking and using momentum. That is what forces the right muscle to do the work. And when this starts to feel easy, do not just do more of them, That is the mistake. Add a little resistance instead. A light ankle weight, 1 or 2 pounds, or a resistance band looped around your foot. Muscle responds to load, and it responds at any age. And older adults very often improve faster than they expect, simply because they are starting from further back. Remember those 90-year-olds. This is the same principle, in your kitchen chair, in your bathrobe. Harold. Let me tell you about someone I will call Harold. He is a blend of several patients I have cared for over the years, so no one's privacy is on the line, but the story is true to what I have watched happen again and again. Harold was 74, retired postal carrier, a man who had walked for a living for 31 years. He came in because his daughter made him, after she noticed he had started using both hands on the armrests to get out of his chair and grunting when he did it. He had not fallen. That is the part I want you to hear. He had not fallen yet. But when I watched him stand, everything was there. Sat far back in the chair. No forward lean at all. Hands doing the whole job. And a small, wary shuffle when he crossed the room, because somewhere in the back of his mind, he had stopped trusting the floor. We did not start with a specialist or a scan. We started with his mornings. 10 minutes in the chair by his bed before coffee. Ankle pumps before he stood, the twist, the hinge with his hands in his lap, the march, and the leg extensions with a 3-second hold. That is all. Now I am going to be honest with you about the result, because I always am. Harold did not turn back into a 30-year-old letter carrier, and I would never promise you that. It took closer to 2 months than 2 weeks. But the grunt went away. He stopped putting his hands down to stand up, first at home and then everywhere. And the thing he told me he cared about most had nothing to do with muscle at all. He said he had stopped thinking about it. He just stood up. For a man who had quietly begun to negotiate with his own chair, that was everything. The honest caution. Before I send you off, I owe you one caution, because I would much rather you be safe than sorry. Use a sturdy chair. Kitchen chair, dining chair, something with 4 solid legs on the floor, not a chair with wheels, not a recliner, not a soft couch you sink into, not a folding chair, and put it against a wall if you have any doubt at all. Stop if something is sharp. There is a real difference between a muscle working, which feels warm and tired, and a sharp stabbing or shooting pain, which is your body telling you to stop. Ordinary muscle effort is fine, sharp is not. And some things do not belong in a video at all. If you get chest pain or pressure, if you become genuinely short of breath, or if you feel faint or the room spins, stop and sit still. If those things are happening to you regularly, especially the faint feeling when you stand, please tell your doctor, because that is often very treatable and it is worth catching. If you have had a recent surgery, a joint replacement, a recent fall, or you are already working with a physical therapist, run this list past them first. Not because it is dangerous, it is about as gentle as exercise gets, but because they know the details of your situation and I do not. Recap. So there they are. 5 exercises, every one of them from a chair, about 10 minutes before your coffee is done. Number 5, ankle pumps and circles, to wake the pump and protect the moment you stand up. Number 4, the seated spinal twist, to move a stiff morning spine before you ask anything of it. Number 3, the seated hip hinge, nose over toes, hands off the armrests, the one nearly everybody gets backwards. Number 2, the seated march, for the muscles that lift your foot over the curb. And number 1, the seated leg extension with a hold, for the thigh muscle that decides how long you stay independent. Do them in that order. Do them tomorrow and then the day after. They cost you nothing but 10 minutes. You can do everyone in a bathrobe, and there is not a person watching who is too old or too far gone to start. Those 90-year-olds doubled their strength. You have more room to work with than you think. Now here is where this goes next. There is a simple test, no equipment, no doctor, about 30 seconds, that will tell you honestly where your legs actually stand right now, and whether you are ahead of the curve or quietly behind it. Most people over 60 have never done it, and most doctors never mention it unless you ask. In my next video, I will walk you through that test, show you the number to beat for your age, and tell you exactly what to do if yours comes up short. I will put it right here on the screen. Go watch that one next. I am Dr. Patterson. Take good care of those legs of yours. They have carried you this far, and with 10 honest minutes a morning, they will carry you a good while longer. I will see you there.